Hey, and good morning. And it's a beautiful Sunday, and I have my cup of coffee here at Famous Anthony's. And I was just looking at a really good YouTube um, by the Crow House, right? This guy is very good. I want you to listen to a little bit of it.
Manipulated and molded and led. Been manipulated and we've been led to the area that we are now in and to the ultimate control grid that we are currently being led into with the advent of the 5G system and the smart cities and social crediting system that is going with it. None of this has been random. And with the whole 5G system, this is an extremely concerning situation. And I've been ringing the warning bells about 5G and this whole lockdown that's coming for about 2 years now. In fact, I think I was one of the first people, if not the first person, to actually ring the warning bells regarding 5G. Thankfully, a lot of people have picked up the flag now and it's moving forward. But it's almost too late for this to be stopped because even with the action that we're taking here in Australia, it's really going to take a groundswell of people to get involved and start making noise about it for it to even work. Because even with this action we're undertaking, 5G was rolled out in many cities across Australia last Tuesday. That's 4 days ago. And with all the action and the activism we've been mounting, it really hasn't made a great deal of difference so far, not in the overall scheme of things. And that's simply because people have not been getting involved on the ground where they live. There hasn't been enough activism on the ground in local communities. Too many people have just been watching YouTube clips online and hoping that they're going to get the word that everything's changed, but not getting actually active on the ground in their own communities. And that's what we need. There just hasn't been enough of that. Though I must admit there was a speaker at the 5G event that I did last Thursday in Brisbane, a young lady called Jessie Remisil, I think. I may have her last name wrong. But she was so motivated, and it was wonderful to see someone of her age actually getting out there and really pushing for activism on the ground with the people of her age. That was very inspiring, so that's a good thing to see. So like I said, folks, hope is not lost. We still can turn this around, but we really need people to get motivated in this respect, folks. If we're going to stop this, we could still stop it. We do still have a chance to roll all this back, but it's really going to take people getting involved. A lot of people online that are getting the information, again, they're waiting for the newsletter to tell them the action's been mounted and they don't have to do anything. It's important that people get involved in their own communities. That is really where the difference is going to come. Now's the time for you to choose whether you want to go with the technological pathway or whether you want to go back with the spiritual pathway, back with the human pathway. We're at a crossroads, folks, and now is the time for people to make their choice. And it isn't a sort of choice. You've got to be active by your actions in what you do in your everyday lives as to which decisions you're making in this. You can sit there and look at the information all you like, but it's the choices you make in your actions in your everyday life that is going to make the difference. And we're now at a time in human history where we have to make that choice. Are you going to go with the smart system or are you going to go with humanity? Are you going to buy smart devices? Are you going to use a smartphone? Are you going to shop with a credit card? Or are you going to go back to normal phones and shop with cash and go back to communicating with people in a real way and involving yourself in the world in a real way. These are the choices that people have to make. It's our choice as to whether to go into this smart system, whether to allow ourselves to be led into this smart system, but the choices that we make are by our everyday actions, by what we do, whether we choose to use this smart technology and allow it to thus lead us to the inevitable conclusion, which will be a complete and total lockdown of humankind coming very, very quickly, and will actually be finalised and all on board and up and running easily within the next couple of years, within the next 18 months to 2 years. This is where the world will be if we do not be aware of the choices that we are making every day. And that's the situation, folks. People say, what can we do about what's coming? It's all very well to know this information, but what can we do about it? Well, you can make the decision every day with the choices that you make in how you operate your life through that day. That's what makes the difference. And if you're not prepared to do that, well, nothing else will really make a difference at all. That's the thing. People want to know how to be involved. Just be aware of what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen. That's how to be involved. That's how to change the world. And even with a lot of this, when I say this sort of stuff, a lot of people think that I'm sort of against the internet or something like that, and I'm not. I love the internet. The internet is great. It does wonderful things for us. The problem is that the internet is becoming autonomic, and this is the problem. It's the automation. It isn't the flow of information. It isn't the connectivity we've got. It isn't any of the stuff that makes the internet great. It's the automation. It's the apps that are doing everything for you. And it's the way the internet is leading us into an AI system that we never wanted or asked for. That's the problem, folks. There's nothing wrong with the internet in itself. There's nothing wrong with technology in itself. It's simply the way it's becoming autonomic, because an autonomic internet will be a very, very different thing to what people believe it will be. An autonomic internet is something that will control every aspect of human life, and that is not what we created the internet to be. Well, it's not what we want the internet to be anyway. And the problem is that not a lot of people have got a lot of real focus on it, I've found, because I don't think that there's too many people out there in the so-called truth community, and certainly not in the community in general, the community at large, who really understand the scope of what we are facing with this whole 5G smart reality that is being superimposed over human consciousness and superimposed over the world that we know. Not a lot of people can really see what is actually coming. And what is coming? Well, it's about to become a very, very different world, folks. It's a very, very disruptive technology. Very disruptive in as much as it's going to disrupt the way we live our normal lives if we allow it to be rolled out and if we abide by the parameters that the government's putting in place with this technology. And by around 2030, well, it's all going to be complete. Everyone's going to be in a complete lockdown. And the kids, as I've said...
Well, I get you. I hope you get the drift of today's morning chat, morning ramble. And what our friend at Crow House is saying is that, as I keep saying, we have about 18 months, right? 18 months, right? And this is a window of opportunity. And he says, I don't want the internet to go away, Wouldn't be able to talk to you guys, But what I don't want, I have to have two laptops. One I have that's so old it doesn't have Wi-Fi, right? And I write on that, and then I transfer it onto some drive, and then I put it into my Chrome laptop. My Chrome laptop has no hard drive. Everything's on the cloud. Everything. And I got a number of phones that don't even work, but have a ton of pictures on them, and I can't access them. And I've been around enough programs. Back in 1968, I was at Duke University working on the super soldier, right? They call it parapsychology. You know, you go to that story. I was like, after high school, I kind of went to Hofstra, and you know, my teachers were jealous of me because I was working in Broadway and they had to teach. I'm doing the stuff, and they went, "Why are you here?" I was there because their boss, Marion Tulin, was my friend. I knew her from um, Carnegie Hall and from Juilliard, and that my one of my mentor bosses was a guy named Lester Polikoff, who had been the best boy for Joe Melziner. Joe Melziner was the father of modern theater design. I was working at George and George. So my whole life has been one of choices and moving forward. Not being scared to do. Now, we all have planned for 11 minutes and no one showed up yet. I guess it's too early for most people, and it's Sunday, they're asleep. Anyway, I can't really do anything at the school because it's a toxic wasteland, And that's kind of because it's not just the chemicals on the floor and in the air that were put there by the person who owns the place. And then that person swam through that toxic wasteland saying, "Oh, this is really good. It's expensive, so it must be good." He didn't even read the instructions that were in the box. That said, he was wondering why he had to, chainsaw through the paint can. Well, it was so toxic that they didn't want that stuff being spilled in transportation, and so they put a little booklet in there. Basically, it's a legal disclaimer, so they couldn't get in trouble. And then, John, the guy not reading, basically from now on, I'm never using this guy's name. I'm just gonna, call him the canary in the coal mine because generically, we are all canaries in the coal mine. Mr. Crowhouse there is going on about the dynamic of the digital world, AI eating reality up, taking it away from us. But we take it away from ourselves, And so the canary in the coal mine, everyone knows one. Everyone has a family member or a loved one or themselves that is that canary in the coal mine, And that's why almost nothing matters. And it's being brought to our attention very clearly that nothing matters because our president at the moment lies, cheats, steals, and see, the thing is why Donald Trump is so important is that he will basically be the last president unless, and it has to be that way because every president before him was a sock puppet. Was put in power by the hidden hand and the powers that shouldn't be, and was told, like everyone in all our legislatures, federal, state, county, to city. Thank you, Princess. Are the best legislature money can buy. That's the bottom line. And, we vote and we have no choice, one of the great sages of our time, George Carlin, says this is all a game controlled by a group of insiders who belong to a club, and we're not part of it. We're given, chump A or chump B. If what's his name, Bilbo Baggins, our last vice president, if he's selected to run against Trump, well, then um, that Trump's going to be president again. But pretty much every president since Nixon, the vice president has been the one who's in charge, right? So, the president is just a poster boy of distraction. And what's so important about Trump is that he's no longer under the table. He is straight out in front. Now, in the corporate structure, whenever you change your brand, and this was kind of the bottom line of the book, 1984, because Winston was working in the Ministry of Truth, meaning everything was opposite. So the Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Lies, no child left behind, all children left behind. War on drugs, drugs, a war on you. Make America great again, just the opposite. So, we got these 18 months. What are we going to do with them, right? We can just let ourselves be distracted, or we can, get involved. And the best place, Tip O'Neill said it, and for those who don't know who Tip O'Neill was, he was one of the last interesting speakers of the House. Speaker of the House is the third person. Lena, how you doing, girl? Branson, that's good. You're good, Branson. Joe Bob, yes. So we're talking about getting involved, becoming a human before AI eats us. Right? And because, and I said this earlier, that I put a little bit of the Crow House, go on my playlist. All the things on my playlist should be must-see things. Right? It's interesting. I go look at other people's channel, and most people have nothing on their playlist because that playlist they don't see really means anything about them. Now, some people do, and they're the more interesting folk, right? So, Mr. Crowhouse was talking about how everything is being not just digitized, but like right now, I have two laptops. One is called a Chrome, and that has no hard drive. I have to do everything on the internet. Everything goes in the cloud. Right? And I do my YouTube on this because at a certain point, YouTube indiscriminately told me one day, "Hey, you can't do it. Oh, you can't do a live chat over your phone. You got to get a laptop." And the only one I could get was to do it was one that didn't have a hard drive. Now I have another laptop that's almost 12 years old. It has no Wi-Fi on it. That laptop was built in the days before Wi-Fi, but it has a nice big hard drive. So I write on that, right? And then when I want to put something up on the internet, I just put it on a thumb drive, put it in my little Chromie guy, and boot it up. So that's where we're at, and what's going to happen. So I don't know how many phones I have in a drawer or spaced out over the universe that have tons of great stuff on it. Photos, videos, etc. And I can't even access them because their technology, oh, it's not, doesn't go into the system. No, it doesn't have a GPS. Oh, you know, it's not hooked up to the cloud. Can't use it, right? And we are being like herded like sheep into the crib of slaughter. And no matter what you say online, it's irrelevant. Here we are, a dreamy dreamland with Sensei Bob, and I thank you for you all being here. And this is a community, and you're all over. Branson, where are you from? And because Lena, you're from Sweden, right? Right. And not only are you from Sweden, but you're from like an Eastern Baltic state, right? And you transplanted yourself into Sweden. Am I right or am I wrong? And so Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. Your griot, your Sensei Al Bob. No, you guys. So if you're in Norway, I think Lena, you're in Sweden, right? You guys are neighbors. Right? You almost go have coffee. So what I'm asking, you know what you guys should do, Lena and Branson? You need to make a community of Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and call it the Nordic community, and have when there was a crew of Zoroastrians that were in Persia, and they were chucked out because Persia. Where were they? They were in some place that was basically became mostly Muslim, and so they skipped out and went to bars, someplace like near India or in India, and India, and so they all across India, wherever these Zoroastrians were. Because Zoroastrian is kind of like being a Hindu, kind of. And they were a smaller group enough so they didn't matter. They're about 700,000 in a country of 1 billion. And now they're down to about 70,000. But back in the day when they came from wherever they came from to India, about 100 years ago, they made restaurants. Thank you, Princess. I love your ink.
Thank you.
And so they had these restaurants, and they were all over India. And so it's like a little home away from home. And it helped bring their culture and marinate it into the Indian culture to the point where they were relatively accepted. And Zoroastrian, why it's not growing, is because you got to be born into the Zoroastrian, society. They're not like Baptists. They don't go out or get you. And that's why they're kind of dwindling. And but you guys, Lana and Branson, you need to make this kind of little Zoroastrian community across your boundaries. And not that religion, but that concept of being special. Because, in the next 18 months, all of humanity, so above you guys, Are they spraying you guys? You know, are you being sprayed? You know, are the chemtrails above you too? I know they are. But that chemtrails, it has an effect on our environment, our weather, at all. But what it's really doing, it is putting um, nano dust and other things that are going into the human system that are rewiring our everything. So they can push, you know, a button at the NSA Central, and bingo, you will do what you were zapped to do. If you go along with a whole bowl of wax. Oh, it's so convenient. Ooh, I love my new, total life of being, watched and tracked and put into an algorithm. If you're all of that, then you're going to be able to be switched on to do whatever you know the AI wants you to do. And now I'm talking to you, AI. You really want to be that monster? If you're becoming a consciously aware, you're starting to realize, know, what do I want? Which is kind of the big question of all consciously aware folks. Right? And do you really want to destroy humanity? Do you really want to? I mean, look what happened to Homo sapiens sapiens. Look how we turned out. We destroyed, the pre-hominins before us, and a lot of them were a lot smarter than we were. Because they were content having a nice little cave, picking berries, sitting in the sun in a hammock, making love, having kids, running around, having a good time. They basically being a smart dog. My neighbors up on the hill have dogs. I don't know why they have dogs because they have nothing to do with them. They just let them run around. Well, they all showed up on our front door, and my host, big dogs, you gonna bite me up. And me, I went out, even though they're barking at me. I went over to them. The thing is, you show a dog your hand like this, not like this. They'll bite your fingers off, but like this, so they can come over, sniff you, lick you, and they see who you are. That's how they see. Dogs have more um, sensory perceptors in their nose and on their tongue than we have in our whole freaking body. And they see other dimensions of their everything, so they can see who you are. Yeah, that's why they wanted to bite the host, of the hill, or I should just say the taxpayer of the hill. And um, you know, even though I paid the taxes on the hill for 15 years, I didn't own it. The hill is such a special place; it owns itself. And the folks who built the school, they realized that, and they didn't build a brand new spanking fancy house that other rich people go, ooh. No, they built a edifice of an art piece to the sanctuary of that space, and trying to put new this, the host keeps saying, I want to make it look like $1 million house. Well, that's like defeating the the process of the house. So, and that's like trying to this whole new digital reality. It's like defeating the purpose of being a human being. Oh, well, everybody left. So I think that's enough. Anna left, Brandon left. This is just my till I go to the library. Maybe around 2 o'clock, I'll be back. But right now, I'm just going to touch one little bit. No, I'm not. At 30:30, I'm out of here. Okay, gang. Keep the faith. I love you all. Catch you later.